and good afternoon to you all. So I'm not going to do a PowerPoint presentation actually, but then I can still make available figures if there's demand for them. Yes, so Ghana's situation has not been different from what other countries are experiencing with the COVID-19, and that is reflected in both the demand and supply end of the chain. So with the imposition of restrictions and the observance of the COVID-19 protocols, it actually reduced the production working hours in Ghana here, and that obviously affected the supply. However, just like other countries, the demand also dropped, and from the statistics we have, you could see that the COVID has actually impacted on the timber industry in Ghana. So running through the figures in terms of volume, for the first quarter of the year 2020, comparing it with the first quarter of 2019, then we could see that there was a decline of 32% in the export volumes that we registered. Then the second quarter was hardly hit because that was when a lot of countries actually imposed restrictions, and that affected our export figures. So comparing to 2019, the second quarter of the year 2020 recorded a decrease of about 48% in the export volume. Then it started picking up when restrictions were actually eased. So the percentage then dropped from 48 to 28.96. But now that it has started picking up again, I don't know how the fourth quarter is going to fare, but from inference, then once there are going to be further restrictions, then it is actually going to affect our export figures also. So on the whole, comparatively between 2019 and 2020, Ghana generally recorded a reduction in export value of 36.42%, which is not good. That is in terms of volume. But in terms of value, Ghana also lost 36.58% compared to 2019. So with this, we can say that from the supply end, COVID has actually impacted the exports from Ghana for the past 3 quarters, and we are still recording figures for the last quarter. In terms of demand from our major markets, in terms of contract volumes that buyers contract, there's also been reduction. We are recording decreases in the demand. So for primary products, for the third quarter of the year, we recorded a reduction of 10.5%. Then for secondary, we recorded 10.43%, and tertiary 55.27%. That was actually an increase. The figure for tertiary was an increase, not a decrease. But then for primary and secondary, we recorded a decrease for the third quarter. For the second quarter, which was hit most, we recorded a reduction in the demand for primary products, and also about 70% and 34% for secondary, and also a reduction of 39.5% for tertiary products. And if you look at the market blocks, Ghana exports to the China Far East, the market blocks, just a moment. Yes, so for the market blocks, our exports to the Asia and the Far East, which happens to be our market share, dropped compared to 2019 by 47.59%. That is a big drop. Then to the European market, to the EU, comparatively between 2019 and 2020, the export dropped by 11.2% in terms of volume. Then Africa, to the export to the sub-Saharan Africa also dropped by 11%. America fortunately increased by 5%, with Middle East also dropping by 15.47%. So looking at the trend in general, we could say that the COVID has actually impacted on the country when it comes to demand and also when it comes to supply of timber from Ghana. And with the figures that we are recording, with the hikes, the increasing in the number of COVID cases being registered, it is likely the fourth quarter is also going to follow the same trend. So in short, this is what is happening in Ghana. The COVID is actually impacting on the timber trade in Ghana in both the supply and the demand side.
Okay, thank you, Eric. That sounds quite a hard picture. Just to be clear, so you've dropped in demand for everywhere except for the USA. Is that right?
Yes, please.
That's strange that they are still buying it and still going well. So, do you have any sense then from this? I mean, it's hit markets everywhere pretty hard. Do you have any sense at the moment of what next year might look like for businesses in Ghana?
I think in terms of volumes, the situation will not be too different from what we are experiencing now. But in terms of value, we are anticipating a drop because at our last pricing committee review meeting, now even the demands that we get from other countries, buyers are dropping their prices. So some of the prices of the product, we had to even reduce it by a 30% margin, which is not a good indication. So volume-wise, yes, the trend will not be too different from what we are experiencing now. But in terms of value, now we are recording lower figures on prices being offered by buyers overseas.
Okay. And I think demand is going to be low across most markets for most of 2021, certainly, and pick up again in 2022. I'll just ask one final question, and we'll check to see if there are any questions from the audience. Ghana is very close to signing or to completing on getting flagged licenses. Do you think we'll see those in 2021? And do you think it would have an impact on trade?
Definitely it will. Had it not been the COVID, I think we will have made a lot of progress with the flex, but with the COVID, which was unforeseen at the beginning of the year, now it has slowed down things a bit. But then, even though the COVID is still impacting on the trade, Ghana is putting in place a lot of measures so that should the situation improve, we will not be far from issuing our flex license. Now we've gone far with the conversion of leases into TUCs. We are still issuing mock flex, and the picture looks promising, and all that. We are currently on our third TLAS assessment, joint assessment, and the indication we are picking, the signals we are picking are good. So I think if the situation should improve, then Ghana is hopeful that soon in 2021, we will issue our flex.